we've just come from this discussion of what a bird might be. What is a bird? Well, in my world, this is a rubber duck. It comes in California with a warning: this product contains chemicals known by the state of California to cause cancer and birth defects or other reproductive harm. This is a bird. What kind of culture would produce a product of this kind and then label it and sell it to children? I think we have a design problem. So, all of a sudden, here I am graduating from high school in 1969, and this happens, and we realize that away went away. Remember we used to throw things away? Anybody point to away? And yet NOAA has now shown us, for example, you see that little blue thing above Hawaii? That's the Pacific gyre. It was recently dragged for plankton by scientists, and they found 6 times as much plastic as plankton. When asked, they said it's kind of like a giant toilet that doesn't flush. Perhaps that's a way. So we're looking for the design rules of this. This is the highest biodiversity of trees in the world, area in Gyre, 259 species of tree. And we described this in the book, Cradle to Cradle. The book itself is a polymer. It is not a tree. That's the name of the first chapter. This book is not a tree. Because in poetics, as Margaret Atwood pointed out, we write our history on the skin of fish with the blood of bears. And with so much polymer, what we really need is technical nutrition. And to use something as elegant as a tree, imagine this design assignment. Design something that makes oxygen, sequesters carbon, fixes nitrogen, distills water, accrues solar energy as fuel, makes complex sugars in food, creates microclimates, changes colors with the seasons, and self-replicates. Why don't we knock that down and write on it? I will finish by showing you a new city we're designing for the Chinese government. We're doing 12 cities for China right now, based on Cradle to Cradle, as templates. Our assignment is to develop protocols for the housing 400 million people in 12 years. We did a mass energy balance. If they use brick, they will lose all their soil and burn all their coal. They'll have cities with no energy and no food. We signed a memorandum of understanding. Here's Madame Deng Nan, Deng Xiaoping's daughter, for China to adopt Cradle to Cradle, because if they toxify themselves being the lowest cost producer, send it to the lowest cost distribution, Walmart, and then we send them all our money, what we'll discover is that we have what effectively, when I was a student, was called mutually assured destruction. Now we do it by molecule. These are our cities. We're building a new city next to this city. Look at that landscape. This is the site. We don't normally do green fields, but this one is about to be built. So they brought us in to intercede. This is their plan. It's a rubber stamp grid that they laid right on that landscape, and they brought us in and said, what would you do? This is what they would end up with, which is another color photograph. So this is the existing site. So this is what it looks like now, and here's our proposal. So the way we approach this is we study the hydrology very carefully. We study the biota, the ancient biota, the current farming, and the protocols. We study the winds and the sun to make sure everybody in the city will have fresh air, fresh water, and a direct sunlight in every single apartment at some point during the day. We then take the parks and lay them out as the ecological infrastructure. We lay out the building areas. We start to integrate commercial mixed use so that people all have centers and places to be. The transportation is all very simple. Everybody's within 5-minute walk of mobility. We have 24-hour street so that there's always a place that's alive. The waste systems all connect. If you flush a toilet, your feces will go to the sewage treatment plants, which are sold as assets, not liabilities, because who wants the fertilizer factory that makes natural gas? The waters are all taken into constructed wetlands for habitat restorations, and then it makes natural gas, which then goes back into the city to power the fuel for the cooking for the city. So these are fertilizer gas plants. And then the compost is all taken back to the roofs of the city where we've got farming, because what we've done is lifted up the city, the landscape into the air to restore the native landscape on the roofs of the buildings. The solar power of all the factory centers and all the industrial zones with their light roofs powers the city. And this is the concept for the top of the city. We've lifted the earth up onto the roofs. The farmers have little bridges to get from one roof to the next. We inhabit the city with work-live space on all the ground floors. And so this is the existing city, and this is the new city.